We're live.
All right, everyone. It is 7 o'clock, so I will call the meeting to order. I'm Charlie Pizzabene, President of the Board of Trustees for the East Greenbush Community Library. This is for the October 21st, 2025 Board of Trustees meeting. We'll do a quick review of the agenda. And normally we've got the pro forma piece here, but just to note for folks, item 6 on the agenda, we're going to move that. That's the approval of the special meeting minutes from last week, from the 16th. We're going to post those draft minutes online so folks can review, but to give the board time to review the actual minutes for voting for approval, we're going to move that to the November meeting. So folks will be able to review it when Jenna posts it online, but the actual vote on that, we're going to just move item 6 to November. Any other housekeeping items on review of the agenda? None. We'll move to public comment. We're in the room for public comment, and we're just gonna. We had some late entries last week, so we're just gonna, we've got a couple, 5 written. So just read them in to the record. So this first one is from Kirk Dixon. My wife and I live close by and attend the Y in the library. We were informed of the recent Time Tribune article yesterday. We are submitting these comments late. We are opposed by the attempt to use eminent domain to acquire land without any effort to identify alternative solutions. While we appreciate the need to upgrade the police department's headquarters, the lack of transparency is unacceptable, and the lack of building and engineering design details demonstrate contempt to taxpayers and library patrons. For example, where would the police enter or exit from the site? On Michael Road, on Community Way, on Luther Road? The latter, another traffic light would need to be installed because the risk of pedestrian and vehicle accidents would increase. The county was able to relocate the DMV and other county offices using an existing building off of 4, knock down walls and reconfigured so the building could meet their needs. Is the town of East Greenbush incapable of conducting a similar search of pre-existing properties to serve the police department's needs? Buildings should not be built to serve a politician's legacy or ambitions. The next is from Olivia Goudian. Sorry if I messed your best name up. Good evening. I'm emailing in regards to the proposal of building a police station on the library property. I think this is a very bad idea. As a library information science student and someone who has worked in libraries, I can see this decision negatively impacting patrons. In a world where the library has become a safe space for all people, building a police department on the property could make regular users of the library feel unsafe. Libraries offer many resources to often underserved members of the community, and these same people may hold negative attitudes toward the police. Hence, they could stop using the library out of fear. No one should feel deterred from an essential service like the library. Everyone deserves to feel safe at the library. I will close this email by sharing a point from the American Library Association's Library Bill of Rights. Section 5, a person's right to use a library should not be denied or abridged because of origin, age, background, or views. She gives the site for that. No matter how direct or indirect, building a police station on library property will be in violation of this key tenet of the ALA's Bill of Rights. Thank you for your consideration. The next is from Natalie Phoenix. Please do not allow a police station to be built by the library. First and foremost, the roads there are not designed for increased traffic. That corridor gets extremely crowded at arrival and dismissal of the high school. Heading over to the Route 4 traffic circle, traffic gets worse. Route 4 is not designed to be heavily trafficked, but we keep adding to the congestion. Additionally, the library as well as the YMCA are safe communal spaces. Having the police station located there would not contribute positively to that environment. While I respect what the police do, I don't think having the station there would promote the same uplifting community feeling there. Lastly, there's so little green space left in East Greenbush. Why not rebuild on properties where there is usable but relatively abandoned space? The Market 32 Plaza always seems to have availability, and there are more properties like that in East Greenbush. It's frustrating to see new buildings being built on beautiful land and then driving a bit further and seeing empty businesses. Burger King has looked abandoned since they closed. I sure hope all this will be considered. Next from Kendra Phoenix. There should not be a police station built on library properties. Libraries are supposed to be a safe place for all people, and police have a strong history of discrimination and hate toward all minorities. Libraries provide services of all kinds to people who need them, and they should feel safe accessing the resources they provide. Putting police on the property would put a barrier to these resources, and the people would no longer feel comfortable using them. Keep the library a safe place for all people. And last, from Natasha Bolsonello. Why aren't there any Halloween activities for elementary school age children? I see either real young or grades 6 to 12, but nothing for 1st through 5th, unless I missed something. Our 5th grader just took a field trip to the library. It's a little disappointing. Okay. No other public comment, correct? Okay, if not, we'll move on to approval of the minutes. So Kenny for item B.
From the September September 30th meeting. Are there any corrections?
Yes, I had some.
Okay, Mary?
Yeah, so the first introductory section on the minutes indicates that, or in the meeting indicates that the meeting was not captured audio recording. And then a little while after that, it says the meeting was recorded in the introductory section.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. In the director's report, there's a third bullet which says outreach included a new postcard mailed to residents. I thought it was supposed, or I think it's supposed to read a postcard was mailed to new residents, not a new postcard. I don't know, maybe you can tell me if that's accurate, Jill. I thought you had said that you sent things out to new residents.
Yeah. Yep. So it should read out
A
outreach
postcard mailed to
new residents. Okay.
Yes.
Good one, Mary.
Okay. Then under committee reports, we had under services, it says highlights from the written. I don't have it in front of me because I don't have the stuff printed out, but I think it's worded that the East Greenbush Police Department interest in land purchase, but doesn't mention purchasing of library property. But maybe we would want to reword that.
How about an East Greenbush Police Department's interest in purchasing land owned by library?
Yeah, something that's,
We'll make
I
that.
just, yeah, that would be great.
Makes sense.
And then this is just me. I don't know that it necessarily changes anything, but I didn't think it was action oriented, and I thought it didn't belong in the minutes under budget. Under budget committee, I believe it says the estimated cost per average household is likely less than the cost of a pizza. And I don't know that it's accurate, nor do I know that it really belongs in board minutes. So, but I can live either way. So,
I would defer to Charles.
Yeah, we take that.
Okay, we'll take that. Thank you.
and then just in terms of the motion, then we need to change that. So it says
Okay.
as amended or whatever. So, yeah, thank you.
This one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions for potential edits to the minutes from the 30th? Seeing none, hearing none. Make a motion to approve the minutes of the September 30th, 2025 library board meeting as amended. Motion from Carrie, second. Second from Amanda. Discussion, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Well, Kayla, are you, if not, if you're not on, don't worry, just can't see if you.
Oh, sorry. If you
In favor, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Motion carries 7-0. Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the minutes from the October 6th special library meeting. Any corrections, edits?
I just want to say, I appreciate all the work that went into transcribing that one.
Okay.
Seeing none, no comments or additional discussion, motion to approve the minutes of the October 6th, 2025 special library board meeting. We got a motion by Amanda, second by Katie. Any discussion or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? We can do 7-0, maybe 7.5-0.
see why I had my camera off.
We're always over our first friends. All right, and then, last for minutes.
October 16th, public hearing for the 2026 library budget. Any,
I do have some. Sorry. Just I have a kind of a confusion maybe, but there's there's two bullets. One says where does the money come from, and then there's where does income come from. And I'm wondering if maybe I don't know, maybe those bullets are supposed to be separated out, but it indicates that income comes from account transfers. I
I
don't
think,
know.
I think the question was, where do we get our money from for for the budget? Where does the money come from? And where does our income come from, like internal for us to spend? And that's where Bill was saying, like, we make, transfers within our accounts from like maybe restricted or things like that. And Nicole, you could, obviously speak to this better. Obviously, the town of Skodak contract and the East Greenbush tax levy. So that's where I think those are two. So maybe where does the money come from? Maybe money, that word could be, like, that question could be reworded. It's like, where does our kind of spending?
The major sources of funding, I would say.
Okay, what are the
for
major?
2025
Okay, that was, you're right.
would be account transfers is really fund balance. It's either it's savings that we've put aside for capital projects or designated fund balance. So that's really savings. I mean, it's savings.
Those were questions, I guess, from, I'm sure it wasn't
Did it
from your
come to the
presentation, it was.
One of the gentlemen had questions about how, I think he was trying to understand the way it worked.
I just think it appears to me that it's two bullets that maybe are supposed to be one bullet, maybe. I don't know. I mean, where does the money come from versus where does the income
I
come
see what you're
from?
saying. There's two different questions of the same thing.
True,
Well, it
but I
seemed-
think that they're different uses. I mean, they're two different.
Well, funding covers both of them, right? Funding covers the whole umbrella, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's all revenue.
Yeah, that would make more sense to me, funding or revenue and then all of those things. I don't know about an account transfer. You mean from like reserves? Is that what that
Yeah.
means?
Yeah, that's what you should say.
I wrote down, where does the income come from? So the town of Skodak contract, the tax levy and grants.
Mhm.
Making every dollar count. Using the town of Skodak contract, friends, funds, your monies that you give, and then grants. I mean, I'm happy to, make any changes.
Well, yeah, I think the friends friends are grants, right? That money, aren't they grants?
True, but I think people would think grants maybe from New York State or federal grant or something like that. That's why.
Mhm.
But it's under the umbrella of like construction. So I'm happy to reword it.
Yeah, I maybe like somebody was saying before, the funding or revenue and all one bullet, or, instead of separating out money and income, which.
What are the major sources of funding and
Or revenue, either one works.
do you have any question about what are the expenditures? Because I think was in your presentation. Nicole, the staffing was staffing, facilities and programming.
Yeah.
That's kind of, okay. We can make that change and just put all those things under the major sources of funding?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
And
Anything
then
else?
the capital projects, again, I don't have the actual document in front of me, but there was, I thought, there's a comment about, and I remember Nicole or Jill, one or the other, talking about, like capital reserves, where for our capital projects, that's not going to impact 2026 capital projects won't impact our budget because that's coming out of capital reserves. And the construction grant. So there's a line in there about the construction grant. I thought you might want to mention the capital reserves because it's not like just the construction grant is paying for it. I don't,
The
do you see where I'm
construction
talking?
capital reserve savings.
Yeah, something that, how it was explained.
I mean, either way. I mean, that's how we're funding the project. No additional cost to taxpayers. They talked about it.
Right, that's probably, we can make that.
All are funded through state grants and library savings at no additional cost to taxpayers.
Yeah, yeah. And then there was, when I think Kevin McCann had talked, he spoke about a night at the library, and he was talking about the $40 price of the ticket. But then it says something about Charlie, Pennsylvania, under the public comment, and I don't know that was that Charlie was saying anything under public comment for the $40. I don't remember that.
I just clarified that it was the Friends fundraiser, because just to clarify, that wasn't the library, it was the library itself was the Friends, were hosting the fundraiser.
All right, so maybe that's should be clarified, perhaps.
Maybe President Charlie Pennsylvania clarified that the ticket cost.
Well, he clarified that the
Friends
Friends.
fundraiser.
he didn't clarify the ticket cost, he
Oh.
clarified that the fundraiser was not run by the library, it was
Okay.
run by the Friends of the Library on behalf of the
Yes, yes. And then the only other part where when Jill was responding to Michael Poost, there's a line in there about number one goal was no tax increase at all, blah, blah, blah. I don't know that responded to Michael Poost. I think the bullet after that was the response that she was going to look into it.
True, and I know that Jill did send a subsequent email, but I wasn't sure if that should have been included because it was after the meeting, but it clarified that point, so.
Right. No, I'm not saying to clarify what the answer
know
is. I'm just saying, yeah.
Yeah, so I would say that
You can probably take that one bullet out.
you could take this one out.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Thank you. I'm done. I bet you're glad I bet you're glad I'm not there, Cam.
Oh, stop, that's okay.
Anyone else for comments? Or just minutes? All right, so hearing none other, motion to approve the minutes of the October 16, 2025 public hearing for the 2026 library budget as amended. Motion by Amanda, second by Katie. Any further discussion, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? 7-0. Motion carries.
Thank you. Aw.
She has the best.
All right, and then just a note again, the minutes for the special board meeting will be posted, and then we'll vote on those formally in November. And thank you to Mary, and we'll move on to Nicole for treasurer.
So the year is 77.5% complete, and the library remains in good financial standing and within our budget. There are some areas that are over and under in each line. For example, technology and communications is 26.6% under budget. There are some one-time costs expected later in the year. Books and materials is over budget mainly because of Hoopla and online subscriptions, online usage for the books. And facilities is also over budget, but we're keeping an eye on that. It seemed that this period there were fewer expenses because there isn't snow removal or as much landscaping in as in some of the previous months. There are some recommendations to move funds from one line to another. Is that something, should I save for November? Should I do today?
We should do it at committee and then.
And then
move
bring it here?
And then bring it here with a formal
Okay,
recommendation,
perfect.
as long as the
Okay.
board's okay with that.
Okay. So,
But you have the dollar amounts in
Yes.
case you want to do it tonight, but it seems like we should talk about it as a group.
that's fine, yeah. So, right, so technology was under budget, facilities over budget, but again, the big picture is still all within budget. Operations was also quite a bit under budget because we don't have a lot of, a large marketing budget. And that was all that was noteworthy within this time period. Does anyone have any questions? So there are a few motions, do you want me to read them? So there's a motion to accept the off warrant in the amount of $54,853.99 for the period of September 18th, 2025 through October 10th, 2025 as presented.
Candy, I'll second it. Any discussion or comment? Hearing none, all in favor? 7-0, so that motion carried, motion passes.
And the next one is a motion to authorize the president to sign the warrant for the period of September 18th, 2025 through October 10th, 2025 in the amount of $24,576.02.
Question on this. Looking at the warrant, and I see a big chunk for Road Art. Is that the one that's going out of business?
No, that's Baker and Taylor.
Okay. I've seen them a few times, but not to that extent, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, so is this the time for me to jump in about that or no?
I mean, it's gonna cut down, I see Baker and Taylor going one on here, but that's probably why.
Yeah, so in the library world, there's a major book distributor that is going out of business, and that's Baker and Taylor. We actually moved mostly away from Baker and Taylor post-COVID because they were just they just had a lot of trouble giving us items on time, so we've already sort of transitioned away from them. But it's gonna have a huge impact because there's only three major, there's some minor distributors, but there's three major distributors, Baker and Taylor, Road Art, and Ingram for libraries. And they're not just selling the books to us, they're also processing the books in advance. Giving us like partial mark records for the catalog and stickers and, different things on the books so that we don't have as much staffing time. So it's caused a huge problem in the library world. Amazon, interestingly, has just announced that they are now a library distributor. And the other big thing is New York State has always worked with Baker and Taylor for the annual report for all libraries. So Baker and Taylor holds all the data for all libraries in New York State. So we've been asked to quickly download our data just in case. So it's kind of a big shift in a lot of libraries. Some of the major libraries, if you move to another book vendor, distributor, you really, if you're a small library, it's a little bit easier because you can process the books in-house. But if you're if you're getting 10 boxes of books a day to be processed and get out on your shelves, and there's not any sort of pre-processing, it's a major impact on libraries. So we're actually in a pretty good place. Some of the other larger libraries in the community are in trouble because they can order now from another distributor, but there's like a 6-month wait for them to sign on to do the processing. So it's it's a huge gap, and 1/4 of your distributors just go away. Now Amazon is basically they're a penny less than everybody else. So we're just kind of all seeing where the chips fall.
That was my only question on that, I just wanted to
Yeah.
see how that was gonna affect us.
It was good.
Motion, Amanda, second. Katie, any further discussion or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? 7-0, so the motion for the warrant passes.
And one more, motion to approve the October 10th, 2025 financials with 77.5% of the year completed.
Second. Kami, any discussion or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? 7-0, so that motion carries. Okay. And we'll go right on to 2026 budget.
So the budget was presented at the public hearing, and Jill did send a follow-up email in response. Does that require anything more than, or?
I might just say something so that we have it in full minutes.
I'm gonna say something.
Go right ahead. Okay. Okay, so Michael's question at the public hearing was a great question, and it got me thinking and doing some work to really figure out the cost per thousand for total assessed value based on the new assessment. So the number, the actual dollar impact overall is about the same. So we were making decisions on the right, breadth of the impact to the taxpayer, but the percentage is different. Now that I don't have the numbers directly in front of me. Do you have my email? That's okay, I can do it from here. Thank you. So the tax rate with the new assessed values, which everybody's property increased, and there was an average amount, and it's approximately 50%, I believe. The new tax rate is 70 cents per 1,000 of assessed value. So that number has been corrected in all of the documentation, like the public presentation and the handout that went out online, and it just says corrected number, so that at least if people are looking for new documents, they're not gonna, they'll see that it was corrected.
That's my recommendation of the library, I'll be closing 30 minutes.
Summary motion, okay. So there's a motion to approve the proposed 2026 budget in the amount of $2,878,395, which includes a tax levy of $80,250 to be presented to the public for a public vote on Monday, November 17th, 2025.
I'll make the motion. Second by Katie. Discussion or comments?
You did a great job, Nicole.
Yeah, it was really good.
Definitely.
Awesome work.
Very good.
Reiterating everyone's commitment to the budget and moving everything along, thank you. Any further discussion, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? 7-0, so the motion passes. And we'll transition over to Jill for director's report.
Okay. So tonight I'll begin by highlighting our, some of the progress towards goals in our plan. Under the Build Community Connections, we're still prioritizing partnerships that's sort of extending the library's reach. We are going to be a Project Linus drop site again. So that's basically, we support volunteers who create comfort blankets for children in need, and community members will like sew a little patch for the blanket and then put the blankets together. So we have great success with that in the past. Books with Mail service continues to grow. That's a service through Upper Hudson Library System, and we are for homebound residents, we're a high user in the system. And we've collaborated with Unity House, providing emergency backpacks for individuals in crisis, particularly if you need to get out of a domestic violence situation. And that's been a meaningful way to support community members. It's been used, we requested replacement backpack, so that's fantastic. For community engagement, for engaging with our community, we had staff represented the library at each Queen Bush Town Day, along with Julianne. Yeah. And Jen, you went too? Oh, wow. More than 200 residents. Also, we have contributed our E&L programs to the New York State libraries. They've put together an immigration resources guide. So they're kind of curating resources statewide. And we put together our E&L programs and our databases so we've welcomed Janae's 5th grade classes. So it sounds like the good news is somebody came back with their 5th grader. Now we need to, as you guys know that that's a demographic that we have chronically sort of not really had enough staff identified in that demographic, and we prioritize doing more this year. So clearly we still need to do even more. But that was good to hear that people care about services for that age group. So we'll continue to put our resources towards that demographic. They came in for tours and library card signups, and we'll be hosting Red Mill next month. And this is the first time that I can remember that we've hosted 5th graders. We've done kindergartners for years and years. So it's a great time to get them before they're moving on to the next phase of their life, just to kind of reintroduce them to the library and what there is for them at that next step too in the teen center. And in 5th grade and in 6th grade, they're gonna still go back and forth between the teen room and the children's room. They're called the tween demographic, but in due time, they'll become full-on teenagers and want nothing to do with the children's department. Yes.
I attended one of the 5th grade sessions as a member of the board as well. So it was so much fun to talk to those kids and explain what we do here, and they all seem to enjoy it very much. I heard kids say they have graphic novels, and they were really excited just to be able to check them out. And then their teacher was like, "You can't use that for your reading log, but you can read it at home." So I just want to say that they did a great job presenting. I heard the kids having a good time doing the library trivia, and everybody got something out of it that day.
Thank you. We welcomed 2 new staff members, Molly, the library assistant in youth services, and Rini, who is the head of adult and information services. And we talked about this last time. At this point, we had announced that folks were coming on leave, and Mary retired in September. recruitment is underway for a new full-time library clerk. We've had several rounds of interviews, we're still interviewing. And part-time maintenance position, recruitment's been really slow for the maintenance position. That's just always a really tricky position to fill, and it's remaining that way. We received terrific news this month about a SAM grant, $250,000 state municipal facilities program grant sponsored by Assemblyman McDonald to support our bathroom renovation project. This has been something that's been in the works for a few years now. So we received official word for that, and now we're moved on to the next phase of DASNY is reviewing everything, and there will be there's some board requirements for signing off on some things, so that can happen outside of this meeting, but the funding.
Jill, I have a question. Just what's the time? Is that still 2027? The time frame for that?
Well, we moved it to 2027. The grant says it's 2026, but I did ask if we can push it off, and they said, you know, absolutely. We just need to, once we get the official okay, then we'll give them the new timeline.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And it's 3 years from the start of the award. And the award, there is a multi-step process. So this is, remember we received this for the roof project, and then we realized that you can't get double funding. You can't get the construction grant and the SAM grant funding. So then we changed the project to be the bathroom project. We're on sort of the second step of this for the bathroom project.
Okay.
Okay, so that's $250,000. The project, when it was put through, was estimated at $365,000. I have gone back out because DASNY requires updated funding because that was from a year ago. So the project will be somewhere around there, depending on what the. So it's a pretty significant portion of the total project. And the recommendation would be that we don't start the project until we get through the process to make sure that we. Okay, quick sort of overview of okay, so quick overview of the library use and activity in September. We were open 29 days, welcomed over 21,000 visitors. That's a 13% increase from last year. Website visits went up, and as well, and drive-through use is continuing to decline. Borrowing patterns essentially remain steady. Physical borrowing dipped about 3% as it has been. Digital borrowing is up 6% year to date and now represents 37% of use. That's with our, that's including over our streaming as well as our databases. Program attendance, really the bread and butter right now for the library. It's more than 2,100 folks attended programs in September. That's a 48% increase from last year. Year-to-date attendance is up 24% with especially strong growth in youth programs. And it's interesting because some of our larger programs are not as large as they used to be. So it's really sort of like through the I want to caution us too, because just the number of people that are coming to a program does not indicate the value of a program. We have a lot of small programs that are really valuable that you can only do for a small group of people. So how we measure it is not just that, but that's a statistic. One statistic. Meeting room use rose 36% with 80 community outside group bookings. And we had a huge increase in library card sign-up month over last year. 177 new library cards, 34% increase over last year's September library card sign-up month. Computer use continues to increase, 26%. Wi-Fi use remained fairly steady. overall library was active and productive and energetic, and good things are happening in our building and beyond our walls.
Jill, can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Do you have any reasoning behind why you're seeing this increased trend, like in the library card signups? There's something that you could relate to why this trend is going up?
we have so we don't know for sure, right? Because there's correlation, not necessarily causation. But we do have something called Patron Point, where we are reaching out to every library card holder now, not just those, every library card holder that has an email address, not just those that sign up for our newsletter. And so we hope that that means like word is getting out a little bit more. And that's our weekly e-news that's going out to folks. We did get a comment on Facebook this week for someone who said they signed up and didn't get anything, so we're looking into that. I mean, it's not fail-safe, you know, not everybody's getting the information. So we'll have to, we're trying to get out. We're trying to get the information out as much as possible. And also we're doing more outreach. So we're outside of the building more, attending programs, different events that are happening. We went to Skodak Island this October, last weekend, the same day as the night at the library. More than 400 people there came. So we're just lots of East Greenbush residents and Skodak residents. We're just trying to be places and listen to what the community is saying and take feedback. That's, you know, the working with the demographic of the school age demographic, that was direct community input for us to target that demographic. And we went from having nothing, no programs, to having some. So we'll continue to tweak. But other than that, I don't have a clear, concrete reason other than we are doing our best to just shout from the rooftops, and hopefully that word is kind of trickling out. Word of mouth is better than anything we could do.
Jill, I had a question about hoopla. You had in your report that there's been
Yes.
discussion among the UHLS libraries, I'm assuming, that thinking that we may not use it anymore. And I wondered what would if there's been talk about what will replace it and what that cost could look like. Do you have
Okay.
any idea?
So yes, that has been a huge topic of discussion for many reasons. Hoopla, as you know, we've talked about here, is a cost per use model. So the more people know about it, the more it costs the library. And sometimes the titles in Hoopla are also available in Libby. And people don't necessarily know that that's a different model where you're not borrowing per use, you're licensing the book. So that's different. That's one piece. The other piece is Hoopla now has a lot of just, it's called AI slop. Basically, it's AI. I mean, that's what librarians call it, AI slop. It's stuff is being published with like so quickly through AI that it's not being evaluated by anybody. And so for, you know, part of collection development, our collection management policy, we're really being intentional about the collections that we're curating. And Hoopla has a lot of stuff in there that has not been vetted by anybody, and it's just getting more and more. So that is something that is of concern for all libraries right now. Not everybody is on the 100% same page about how to handle it, of course. And we would have to internally decide what we want to do with the resources that we allocated towards Hoopla. Would we put them towards Libby and then hope to lower the holds ratio? That is something that's being talked about on a system-wide level as well. there is a new model, without getting into too much detail, within Libby that allows you to do a cost per circ, like to identify certain titles that need cost per circ. So things that are hot for a short window, instead of having, 150 people be on hold for a year or a year and a half, you could put money, a dedicated set amount of money each month towards cost per circ and try to like lower the threshold so that we can get those hot titles moving for when people need them. But then they go away and they're not, so you don't need 50 copies of the book in perpetuity, 50 licenses. You only need, a smaller amount, a less amount. So that's some nuanced type collection development that we're looking into. Trying to figure that out and how would we do that on a system-wide basis to make it meaningful and versus a library specific basis. And there are other sources out there that we have identified. We've been looking at them. So far, there's nothing that's really great. So we've looked at some editors that just really don't bring anything more to the table than we think we're getting. We are getting ready to, Upper Hudson is purchasing for next year I can't remember what it's called, but basically it's anime and comics subscription digital. It's very, very low cost, but it's a really niche set of digital items for an audience that is pretty passionate about what they're reading. So we're excited about being able to offer that. There are some other things that are out there that we might consider, but essentially for us, we would most likely be dumping that money back into Libby. Overdrive.
Thank you.
You see Amazon jumping into that now that they're also targeting library books, to see them going library.
Oh, I'm sure. It's changing pretty rapidly. And we kind of knew this was coming, even like once ebooks became a thing, it was, publishers are gonna go away, distributors are gonna go away, self-publish. Well, now there's AI, it's happening very quickly. And we're doing our best to stay ahead of it, or stay at least, like when we noticed that Baker and Taylor was really struggling, we moved away from Baker and Taylor. We didn't just stick with them, and that was challenging because it's a big shift when you're doing your major ordering and shifting and changing. But we're trying to stay on top of it as much as possible. Any other questions? And just thank you to Mike's. Our staff, they're just incredible every day, and I thank them for being positive and weathering a lot of questions about what's happening right now, and just staying really positive about what's important. The community is important, and the library is important, and not to get distracted and sidetracked by everything that's happening around us. Focus on what we're here for. Did a great job. And I know I'm not going to steal your thunder, but thank you to the Friends for a phenomenal event. That you have not recovered from yet. Oh, personnel, yes, resignation of Richard Brown's building maintenance worker part-time, effective November 5th. And then there's the two positions.
The library will be closing in 10 minutes. Please make your selections to the circulation desk, as we will not be able to check out items after closing. Thank you.
Motion to approve the October 21st, 2025 personnel memo as presented. Motion, second by Katie. Any discussion or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Me, I'm in favor.
0. The motion is approved. We'll move to liaison reports and Kami for upper.
I have no report since last.
Go to Julianne for,
We've been busy.
we're busy, right?
Jen's gonna be reporting book sale.
Book sale was not as successful as our spring book sale. We're about $2,000 down from spring. We think, we know. So we had approval to place a lighted sign at the sanitation department. And unfortunately, the same day, the sign was supposed to go out at the police motor over here. So the sign was not placed there. So I think that was part of the reason why the sales were down, because we didn't have as much exposure and signage as we had for the spring one. We still made, it was over $8,000, but we were down $2,000.
And we went in with actually more inventory than we had.
And we ended with a lot. We had 2 rooms that still had books in them.
Yeah.
Spring, we had like nothing.
It was disappointing, but we do have a plan. We have a workaround for next year, so that won't happen again. We're there, that's the road for that. And then we followed that up with the night at the library because we had nothing better to do. We just felt like twiddling our thumbs. It was an amazing event. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, everybody for the support. We worked really hard. Our goal was 10,000. It was very ambitious. It was a very ambitious goal. We raised 12,700. So we're very happy.
We did not pay for the test.
So we're happy. 40 of the 50 pieces got auctioned. There was a lot of bidding on Saturday night. It was a lot of fun to watch. Everybody outbidding each other. It was entertaining.
So mad. I wanted that bird and plate.
Oh gosh, I wonder who got that. Oh yeah.
Sorry. Sorry.
And then we also did so of our funding. Half of the money that we raised came from sponsorships. The other half was a mix between the raffles. We sold 1,500 raffle tickets, and the other half was the auction. So those were the 3 funding sources. The event paid for itself. The cost of the event, ticket price, kind of offset each other. So that was a maximum break even. And we were under our overall budget. So we're really happy with the event. Do we want to do it again? We don't know. Ask us in a few days because we don't know. And then you'll see we've already switched over to Friendsgiving. So our focus now is on getting people out to vote, letting them know who the friends are. Like, hey, you just saw us do this event. Now come on, come to one of our meetings, get to know what the friends do. And then we'll follow that up with our end of the year appeal. I think we want to go a little bit softer on that because we did just do this huge fundraiser. So we haven't quite worked out the details of that. That's how we normally end the year, was the end of the year appeal. And then we'll move right into membership recruiting after that. Any questions for us? Okay.
Thanks so much. Thank you for everything you did. Really appreciate it. Makes the library such a great space.
Yeah, we're accepting grants from, see you in November, Jill, it's not ready. No fish tank.
Jim's not here, scheduling conflict, but he just noted the town has a public hearing scheduled for November 12th to discuss the police station. And that was it from the town, and good to Tom.
Just a couple of things. First off, the ATEC groundbreaking I was discussing last month, that was supposed to happen on October the 16th. Will now be happening Thursday, October 23rd, so everything else is staying now. From the county executive proposes budget, looks like a over 9% tax cut, real property tax cut, so that's a positive. Jill, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, Mary Weldon, if you could get us some information on her, if she's okay with it. The legislature would like to do some sort of a resolution or recommendation for over years of service, so any kind of biographical information she's comfortable in giving us, we'd like to put something together for.
You asked me.
Did I? Okay.
But I will do that.
Okay. Just a comment, the public hearings that we had here, I just wanted, you guys were awesome. I mean, it was just a tremendous thing from top to bottom, a lot of community engagement, which is always important in the library, so it really met the library purpose. And the way the meeting was run from the beginning, when Jill was explaining this and Amanda how we're holding the cards and everything else, it was flawless. And Kelly, remarkable job chairing the hearing, a difficult situation. Everybody, I think, felt heard and felt respected, which is really important and is very indicative of the library, what the library is all about. So I think a positive message was sent out to the community as a whole about what's really happening at the library. So I've got, thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
5 minutes. This is your final opportunity to check out your materials, as we will not be able to check out items after closing. Thank you.
All right, so then, nothing for unfinished business. So for new business, we've got it's that time of year as we go into election season. Jill, do you want to touch on election? Well, it's kind of in the realm for.
Sure.
And
We have, hot off the press, we have 3 open positions. 2 5-year positions and 1 for 2 years, I believe. The filling out the remainder of Mary's position that ends in 27, if I'm not mistaken. We have 5 applicants. Jordan White, Douglas Morrissey, Albert Jesus, Sarah Bojas, Crystal DeRico. So next week, we will have our candidate forum, since we certainly have enough folks for a good, healthy candidate forum. So we will do that, and I'm excited about that, because that's the first time that we've had that since COVID, where we've had this many candidates, so that's great that people are this interested, right? So we need to finalize our questions. There's draft questions out there, so please ASAP get me your feedback so that we can get those questions out to the candidates in advance to have, so that they can prepare and have their best answers. And we have a budget publication that will be going out, newsletter that is gonna go to the press hopefully tomorrow. And so I have a draft here, it looks really good. And we're able to include all 5 candidates on the newsletter too, so I'm excited about that. And stuff is being posted on the website, and basically we're going heavy duty now that the budget is approved as of tonight. As of tomorrow, you'll see lots more community information.
Yes.
Yeah, you can, I can show you after. Yeah, and I think this has been emailed to you as well. So, but I don't think the whole draft has been emailed, but what it says, the candidates are just in alphabetical order. So what you wrote is in here.
And the pictures.
And the pictures and, yeah. And just a reminder that the election is, because it's a new date this year, November 17th. Polls are open from 9 AM to 8 PM.
Can I just ask a technical question on the candidate forum? So it's virtual, so how will those of us participating, will we get a link from Jenna, or how's it gonna work?
Yes, you will get it. If you are participating, then whoever's participating will get a virtual link for a Zoom meeting. The community will participate by watching the live stream, which will then be uploaded to YouTube afterwards. The candidates, everyone will participate from their own homes, or if you need to borrow a space at the library, that's how we'll do it. It's better, we find, I think it will be better that way, because sometimes it's hard to hear what everybody's saying sitting around a table like this. And then people can see each candidate and can focus on them when they're talking instead of just being part of a general table.
Mhm.
So that's how that will work. But the community, the live stream will be on the website for the public, yes. Yep.
But yeah, so we just reminder, 7:30 to 8:30, Tuesday the 28th for the forum, an election Monday, November 17th from 9 to. And then.
It's the 28th, I wrote it down wrong. No, I wrote it down.
And then we've got new trustees onboarding as part of the election. We're gonna establish a nominating committee to have that time of year again. Any folks interested for, so we've got Amanda, me, anyone else?
Taylor and Nicole.
I can do it.
Okay, all right, yeah, so we'll have the four remaining trustees to comprise that committee. And you get everybody on that. Any additional new business?
Who would be chair for that?
Anybody feel strong about chairing?
I'll chair.
Manuel chair.
Just a reminder for the committee meeting that we do need to look at the reserves policy before the meeting, so we can discuss it. Because we've gone through it, we brought it to the board a couple times, want to make sure we nail it. No, it needs more changes, but I just wanted to throw that reminder out there, since our meeting is November 3rd.
This is a question. So the budget recommendations about possible movement, which committee does that go through?
Budget goes through admin.
She wanted you to say yours or not yours.
I was gonna get there.
Anything else for new business? If not, we've got a brief executive session to discuss contractual and legal matters. So I'll make the motion to enter executive session to discuss contractual and legal matters. Thank you, guys. Amanda, I'll second. All in favor?
You take a quick peek.
Everybody in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
7-0.
She, Amanda seconded, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.